And welcome to episode 7 of Clickteam Fusion tutorials. So, we're going to be looking at the code that we created in episode 6 and tidying it up, getting it ready for episode 9. Enjoy! Hi, I'm Chris Gilpin. Welcome to episode 7. So, this episode is going to be really important if you want to create a medium to large size game. So we're going to be looking at some of the things that Clickteam does to help us improve the code and help us to make things a lot simpler. So if we jump straight into it. So this is where we got up to last episode, and we've got something that works nicely. However, if you have a look at it, all of this seems an awful lot of code. However, we might need that much, but we'll see. When I click the right arrow, it goes straight into the movement, and the only thing stopping the movement is if I've clicked the right arrow and it's still moving. But I need to create a secondary step here. I want it to click the right arrow and then check a whole load of other things. Now I could do it here underneath this and say, well, is the next square along a C tile or whatever, but we'll end up with this 4 times, and we're going to try and find a way of just getting it once. We also want the ability to stop the movement. Say if a character's sort of talking to a different character and you don't want them to be able to move during the conversation, you need to be able to cut it off. And we need a way of hiding it so that when the code builds up, we can just hide it away so it's not visible. So dealing with that first, I'm going to show you the group of events. We're going to right click here on 19, insert group of events. Now, group of events is like a folder that you can store your code in, but you can also make it not active, which means it doesn't run, and you can program it to run when you want it to run. So if I leave it active, I'm just going to call this movement. Click OK, and then if I click on 18 and I hold down shift and click on the 7, and then if I drag that all into that folder, then you can see straight away if I double click that, if I double click where it says movement, then it hides it, which actually is objective 1. But if I double click the 7 and make it not active, if I run the application, okay, and I start moving around, it doesn't do anything, and that's what we wanted. We want to be able to shut that off, which we've managed to do. So let's double click it again, and I actually want it to be active. Okay, there we go. Right, next thing I've noticed when I look at the code is that old X and old Y are always just the position that they're in. So I don't really need old X or old Y. So what I'm going to do is just go through these and delete all of the old ones, because I don't need them. And instead of old X, I'm going to say just current X. And sometimes you'll do that. You'll notice something in your code that actually is not useful at all. No, I didn't copy it. Why would it? Keyboard's doing that weird thing again. So I double click this. And let's double click that, get rid of old X. This keyboard is amazing, right. Okay, and have I done all of them? So the next thing, I want to get rid of old Y. Don't need that either. Let's just change it to a Y. Let's copy that. Oh, I've got an old X in there as well, which I need to get rid of. This is the boring bit of coding sometimes. If you set up your code right, sometimes you don't need to do this. You can just do it once. But I've tried to make the code really obvious and really easy to read and to understand. So I'm going to have a look through here. There's a few more where I've used old Y. We don't need that. God, we used it a lot. Wow, right. I need to remove these. And then the last one here. So there's quite a lot to replace. So let's just have a look, see if all of that, I don't see any there. Desired X, and then I don't need to set old X there either. So I can delete that. So already we're making our code a lot smaller. Let's check if it runs. And it doesn't, it's floating off somewhere. So there's obviously something that I've done. Okay. So at the start of the level I'll need to set the desired X to where we want it to be. It's quite an easy thing to do. So if I create a new condition, start a frame, I drag it up here, and at the start of the frame we want the desired X to be the X position. So desired X we want to be at the position that they are, and then the same for the desired Y. So what I can do is just copy and paste that, and then desired Y, so at the Y active. So let's run that now and see if that works. So right, down, left, up, hold down, hold down, right. Perfect. That's it. Spot on, right. So that's a couple of things we've done. So the first thing, when the frame loads up, is we're setting the desired X to the X, so they're going to be equal. So none of these ones here are going to fire at all. But we still have it that when we click the right button, it automatically moves. There's no middleman. Now, I actually quite like having probably these ones together. So all the ones that do the movement together. And then we can worry about going right and going left and stuff. Okay, so if you press the right button, then it does something there. That something there, though, we might want to have a look at that and go, well, we don't necessarily want that. Okay, so let's go to the frame. Now we can get rid of the alterable values there, the old X, and what I'm going to do is do move X. And then I'm going to do this one and move Y. Because these aren't used anymore, we just use the desired X and desired Y. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, when that's clicked, I'm not going to set the desired X straight away. I'm going to set the move X. And I'm going to set the move X to 1. And for this one, I'm going to set the move X for -1. Move Y to 1, to -1, move Y to 1. And then I can have another condition there. So I'm going to insert new event, compare to general values. Actually, I don't need to compare to general values. I can set new event and I can just have a look at the alterable value. So if move X is different to 0, and then I'm going to say or, drag that in, and I'm going to say move Y is different to 0. Okay, so when you click that right arrow, it's going to set move X equal to 1. And so if move X is equal to 1, then I want that to add 64 times and then the value of move X. Now that doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense at this point, because it's just 64 times 1. But if you think about it, if we set the left arrow to equal -1, then it will go left 64, because 64 times -1 is take away 64, so it will take away 64. Okay, complicated? Now the beauty of this, doing it this way, so what I can do is I can just copy and paste that and just do it for y. So desired y, I'm going to do y plus move y. And then what I want to do is I want to set move x to equal to -1. And I want to set move y equal to -1. I need a new keyboard. And then for down we want to make it move y 1. Okay, and then at the end of this we want to set the move x and move y to 0, so that it doesn't just keep doing it. Triple value set move y equal to 0. So when you click the right arrow, all it does is set move x equal to 1. Then when it does that, it then goes, oh okay, move x is not 0, so therefore it sets the desired x equal to whatever the x is plus 64. Now you might say, well, but it will do the same to y. Yeah, it will set the desired y to this plus nothing, 64 times 0, because the move y will be 0. Then you reset them both back to 0. So it looks like we're doing an extra row here, but this extra row can deal with all 4 of these things to see collision detection for the next video. So if I run this now, hopefully it will be the same. So let's just check to see whether it's the same. So down, right, up, left, and then hold down, hold right. It's exactly the same thing. So it's sometimes quite weird sometimes in programming where you spend a whole load of effort doing something and then you end up with exactly the same thing. But sometimes the thing you end up with is much easier for someone else to look at, for someone else to code, for you to code in 2 weeks' time when you've completely forgotten all about how you set this up, but also for you to expand. And it creates almost what in some programming languages, some instances, is called a hook. This is our hook into the between clicking right and it going right. And there's ways that you can actually make this simpler as well. We could start condensing both of these down, okay, for instance. But I don't want to get too deep into this, but I think we're set up nicely because we've got the condition here that we can check something first for all of these values before it moves, and that's going to be quite powerful. So in the next episode we're going to be looking at actually deciding whether the next tile is a C tile, so therefore don't let the character move, and doing a bit of collision detection. So thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this boring coding video, which is incredibly important, then please click like. If you want to see the next episode and future episodes, please click subscribe. Thank you very much.